Hey everyone, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. You guys sent in a ton of really interesting stuff about Everywhere SEO, and I'm excited to dig in with you and see what we can find. It seems like just yesterday we were all just, Googling everything, but now things are getting a lot more interesting, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. You've probably noticed it yourself that when you need to find some information, Google isn't always the first place you go anymore. Sometimes it's Reddit, sometimes it's ChatGPT, maybe even a specialized forum or platform. This whole concept of everywhere SEO, this is what Neil Patel calls it, it really reflects this shift we're seeing.
So does that mean it's not just keywords and backlinks anymore?
Exactly. It's about understanding where people are searching and how, and optimizing for all of those places. And what's really fascinating is how much AI is influencing all of this. That research you sent over from Harvard, MIT, and Stanford all really highlight this.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack this AI and search thing. What's the big deal here?
Well, the Harvard research found that AI is making search incredibly personalized, especially at the local level. It's kind of wild they actually found that AI can predict your preferred pizza toppings based on past orders and social media activity. And that leads to these hyper-targeted ads and search results, all based on your location, preferences, and even past searches.
Whoa, that's both amazing and a little creepy. Like, it's convenient, sure, but it really makes you realize how much data is out there about all of us. But aside from pizza toppings, how else is AI changing search?
Well, that's where the MIT research comes in. They found that AI is actually expanding the scope of search. People are using AI-powered tools to ask much broader and complex questions. Think about it. We're no longer just typing in basic keywords. We're using conversational language and looking for in-depth answers and subjective experiences.
Oh, so instead of searching for best headphones, I might ask ChatGPT, what are the best noise-canceling headphones for someone with a sensitive head who commutes on the subway?
Yeah, exactly. And AI is getting really good at understanding those types of nuanced questions. And that's where things like Google's BERT and MUM come in. Those are AI models that help Google understand these subtleties in human language so they can deliver more accurate results for those complex searches.
Okay, so we're getting more specific and conversational with our searches. What does that mean for platforms like Reddit? They don't really seem as AI-driven as Google or ChatGPT.
That's true. But the Stanford research actually highlights the growing importance of these platforms, like Reddit and ChatGPT, for certain types of searches. They found that people are turning to these platforms more and more for things that traditional search engines aren't great at. Things like community advice, nuanced opinions, or answers that require more than a simple factual snippet.
Oh yeah, I get that. Sometimes I want to know what real people are saying about something, not just what some companies' marketing materials tell me.
Precisely. And this is where that MIT research on search behavior gets really interesting. They suggest that we're becoming much more discerning about where we search. Like if we need a quick fact or a product comparison, Google is still great. But if we're looking for a subjective experience or we want to hear from real people, then we go to Reddit, ChatGPT, or something similar. It's like we're becoming expert searchers using the right tool for the job.
So it's not just that AI is making traditional search better, it's that AI is powering a whole new set of search tools and platforms, and that's changing how we approach finding information online.
Exactly. And that's why this everywhere SEO is becoming so crucial for businesses to think about. If they want to be found online, it's not enough to dominate Google anymore. You have to think about all the places where potential customers might be searching.
Okay, but here's where I get a little confused. How do you actually optimize for all of these different platforms? They all seem so different.
Well, you have some great information on Sandy Rowley, an SEO expert who's really kind of leading the charge in this everywhere SEO world.
Oh yeah, her work looks amazing. It seems like she's got this really practical, three-pronged approach. She tackles Google, ChatGPT, and Reddit head-on.
She does. And what's interesting is how she connects these three very different platforms to these broader trends we've been talking about.
Okay, well, walk me through it. Let's start with Google. How does everywhere SEO change the game there?
So Rowley hasn't abandoned traditional SEO tactics for Google. In fact, she emphasizes that it's still the foundation. Things like keyword optimization, content relevance, local SEO, all of those things still matter a lot for showing up in Google's search results.
So even with all of these new platforms popping up, Google is still a major player.
Absolutely. But the way we optimize for Google might be evolving a bit. Remember how that MIT research found that we're asking longer, more complex questions? Well, Rowley emphasizes that it's important to optimize for those types of queries.
So instead of just focusing on short, keyword-heavy phrases, you need to think about how people are actually asking questions about your product or service.
Exactly. It's about creating content that provides valuable answers and anticipates the user's intent. And that kind of leads us to ChatGPT.
Okay, so how do you optimize for something like ChatGPT, which is all about conversations and questions?
Well, think about how you interact with ChatGPT. All about questions and answers, right? Rowley suggests we need to structure our content in a way that caters to that. Think clear headings, concise answers, bullet points, all to make that information easily digestible for AI.
So it's almost like writing an FAQ section, but for an AI that can understand and respond to these complex queries.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just one aspect of optimizing for ChatGPT. But we can dig into more of those strategies a little bit later. First, let's switch gears and talk about Reddit.
Okay, so Reddit is a whole different beast. It's all about community and engagement. How do you apply SEO to something like that?
That's a great question. And this is where Rowley's approach gets really interesting. She emphasizes that Everywhere SEO is not about spamming keywords across all these platforms. It's about understanding the unique culture of each platform and tailoring your approach accordingly.
So what does that look like on Reddit?
Rowley is all about building trust and authenticity on Reddit. So instead of directly promoting products or services, she encourages businesses to become active participants in relevant communities, answering questions, offering genuine advice, sharing expertise.
So it's more about establishing yourself as a valuable resource, rather than trying to push some hard sell.
Precisely. It's about becoming a respected member of the community and earning people's trust. It's a long game approach, but it can yield really impressive results.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together, but I'm really curious to hear some concrete examples. How has Rowley applied this to real businesses?
Yeah, I'm happy to share some of those stories with you. But first, let's take a moment to just reflect on what we've talked about so far.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. This is a lot to take in, but it's already starting to shift my understanding of things, of how we find information online and how businesses need to adapt to this changing landscape.
So you're curious to hear how Sandy Rowley's Everywhere SEO approach actually works for businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm all about real-world results. Do you have any specific examples?
Rowley has a ton of case studies that really showcase how effective this can be. Let's start with this bakery she worked with. They were a small, family-run business trying to compete with these larger chains in their area.
Oh, I love a good underdog story, especially when pastries are involved. How'd she help them stand out online?
Well, she started with that Google piece of the puzzle. Remember how we talked about optimizing for local search? Well, Rowley helped them revamp their Google My Business profile, just making sure all of their details were accurate and up to date. And of course, she made sure that they were targeting the right keywords, relevant local keywords like best croissants in city name or artisan bread near me.
So even with all these new platforms, Google is still crucial.
Oh, absolutely. It's still the go-to for so many people looking for local businesses. But Rowley didn't stop there. She helped the bakery create some blog posts and social media content to really highlight their unique story. They talked about their family recipes, their commitment to using quality ingredients, and the passion they put into their baking.
Yeah, that human touch is so important. People want to connect with the people behind the business, not just the products.
Right, and that's where the Reddit strategy came in.
Right.
Rowley encouraged the bakery owners to get involved in those relevant subreddits. I think those communities focused on baking, local food, even just the city that they were in. But instead of directly promoting the business, they shared their baking knowledge, answered questions, participated in discussions.
So they were positioning themselves as experts, building those relationships without being super promotional.
Exactly. They were providing real value to that community, which is key on a platform like Reddit. And the results were amazing. The bakery saw a huge jump in website traffic, more people coming through their doors, and a significant increase in online orders.
Wow, that's incredible. It really seems like Everywhere SEO levels the playing field for those smaller businesses.
It can, definitely. And it's not just limited to brick-and-mortar businesses either. Rowley also worked with this fitness studio. They were struggling to attract new clients, and they were competing with a lot of other studios in their area. They really needed a way to stand out.
I'm guessing Rowley used those same three pillars, Google, ChatGPT, and Reddit.
You got it. But she tailored it to the fitness industry and that studio's specific goals. For Google, she helped them optimize their website with keywords people were actually using to find fitness classes. Things like yoga studios near me or Pilates classes in city name. She also helped them set up some targeted Google ads to reach people who were actively searching for these services.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about ChatGPT? How do you apply SEO to an AI chatbot?
It does seem tricky, but Rowley found this really clever way to do it. She helped the studio create a bunch of in-depth answers to common fitness questions. Things like, what are the benefits of yoga? Or, how do I choose the right workout for me? And then they submitted those answers to ChatGPT.
Wait, so when people ask those questions on ChatGPT, the studio's answers would pop up?
Precisely. And within those answers, they'd include links back to the studio's website. Yeah. So it's the brilliant way to capture traffic from people who are already interested in fitness.
Yeah.
And looking for guidance.
That's pretty amazing. It's like being in the right place at the right time, but digitally. So how did Reddit fit in for the fitness studio?
It was very similar to the bakery. Rowley encouraged them to become active members of those relevant subreddits. So in this case, it was communities where people were discussing fitness, nutrition, overall wellness. They shared workout tips, answered questions about different exercises, offered support and encouragement.
So again, it was about building that trust and being a valuable part of that community.
Exactly. And it worked wonders. The studio saw a big boost in website traffic, more people signing up for classes, and their overall brand awareness just went up. People who had interacted with them on Reddit were way more likely to visit their website and even become clients.
Those success stories are really inspiring. They show that Everywhere SEO isn't just some theory, it's a strategy that gets results. But I'm curious, what about the future? Everything is changing so fast. What trends should businesses and regular people be aware of?
You're right, the landscape is constantly changing. And one of the most exciting trends we're seeing is this rise of visual search.
Visual search, I've heard that term, but I don't really get it. Can you explain?
Imagine you see this cool lamp at a friend's house. Instead of trying to describe it to find it online, you just take a picture with your phone. These platforms like Pinterest and Google Lens use AI to analyze that image. And then they find similar products or information.
That's amazing. So how does that fit into this whole Everywhere SEO thing?
Well, it adds another layer to everything. In addition to optimizing all that text content for Google, ChatGPT, and Reddit, we also need to think about how our products and services are visually represented.
So high-quality images and videos are even more important for SEO.
Absolutely. Visual content is a key way that people are discovering and engaging with stuff online. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, imagine what a video can do.
That makes sense. We're visual creatures. But how do businesses actually optimize for visual search? It seems like a whole other skill set.
It does require a shift in thinking. But it's not as complicated as it might seem. One key element is using those descriptive file names and alt text for your images. This helps the search engines understand what your images are all about.
Oh, so instead of naming a photo img1234.jpg, I would name it something like chocolate chip cookies on coolingdrac.jpg.
Exactly. And the alt text would be something like close-up shot of freshly baked chocolate chip cookies cooling on a wire rack. It gives those search engines more context. It makes it easier for them to match your images with relevant searches.
That's pretty straightforward. Any other tips for optimizing for visual search?
Yeah, using high-quality images, they need to be visually appealing and well-composed. People just more likely to click on an image that is sharp, well-lit, and interesting.
So just like any content, quality matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's not just about product photos. You can use visuals to tell your brand story, show off your company culture, or just create engaging content that people will share.
This makes me think about those businesses you talked about earlier, the bakery and the fitness studio. They're both naturally very visual.
You're right. And I bet they're already thinking about how to use visual search to reach even more people.
I have a feeling visual search is going to be huge in the next few years.
I think you're right. It's a total game changer.
Wow, this Everywhere SEO conversation has been eye-opening. I feel like I'm understanding this whole online world in a new way.
It's definitely complex, but that's also what makes it so fascinating.
Yeah.
And the more we understand these changes, the better we can navigate them.
I completely agree. Before we wrap up, was there anything else from the research that really stood out to you?
You know, there is one thing that I think ties everything together really nicely. I think one of the most important things to remember from all of this is that the internet is becoming more than just a place to find information. It's becoming an experience.
What do you mean by that?
Well, think about it. Back in the day, the internet was all about text, reading articles, emails, searching with keywords. But now it's so much more visual and interactive. We're watching videos and listening to podcasts, engaging with brands and communities in real time.
Oh, I see. It's not just consuming information passively. It's about actively participating.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where Everywhere SEO comes in. It's about creating that seamless, engaging experience for users, no matter where they are or how they're searching. It's understanding that people are using the internet in this more holistic way.
So it's not just about showing up in the search results. It's about creating that positive experience across all platforms.
Exactly. It's about thinking about the entire user journey, from that first moment of discovery, all the way to becoming a loyal customer or follower.
I think I'm getting it. It's like we're moving beyond optimizing for search engines and optimizing for the human experience.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. And it's something that every business needs to be thinking about, no matter how big or small.
This has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like I've learned so much about search and AI and how all of this is changing.
It's been fun exploring this with you. It really is amazing how fast things are changing. And I can't wait to see what the future holds for everywhere SEO and the internet as a whole.
Before we go, I have to ask, if AI keeps getting better at predicting what we need, will we even need to search in the future? Will information just find us?
Uh-huh. That's the million-dollar question. It's definitely a possibility. But for now, understanding everywhere SEO is so important. It's how we stay ahead of the curve and make those connections with people, wherever they are searching.
That's a great point. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. I have a feeling we'll be talking about this again as soon as things keep developing.
I'm sure we will. Until next time, happy searching.